News Talk on Samar News, your go-to podcast for the latest headlines and in-depth discussions. Join us as we unravel the stories that matter most, bringing you insightful commentary and expert analysis. Tune in for thought-provoking conversations that spark dialogue and inspire action. Stay connected with the news that shapes our world, only on News Talk on Samar News.
Okay, let's dive in. We're talking about the San Juanico Bridge today. It's always been this amazing landmark, right? A symbol connecting islands, a big tourist draw.
Definitely an icon, a gift, originally. But now, there's this major problem looming.
Exactly. It's 53 years old, and now there's this ban starting May 2025 on trucks, heavy cargo. This is hitting Eastern Visayas hard.
It really is. And what's striking is how this seemingly local bridge issue is already causing these big economic ripples. We've been digging into the reports, official statements, trying to understand the structural causes and, the immediate chaos.
Right. Serious structural defects. That's the core of it. It forced this shutdown for heavy stuff. We want to unpack why this ban happened, what it means right now for businesses, for regular people.
And what they're trying to do about it, the proposed fixes.
Yeah. Our goal here is to give you that clear picture drawn on the news, the government releases, so you get the essential info quickly and, really understand what's going on.
And looking at similar situations, major infrastructure problems elsewhere, it often leads to not just that short-term economic hit, but potentially longer shifts in trade in regional connections.
A worrying parallel.
It could be, if things aren't managed really well.
Okay, so let's start with the bridge itself. What's the specific problem driving this ban?
So the DPWH, that's the Department of Public Works and Highways, they found structural defects. And not just in one spot, but across all 42 spans of the bridge. It's 53 years old, remember?
All 42. Wow. So this is serious.
Very serious. They're saying it needs urgent, pretty extensive repairs. And since May 15th, they put that strict weight limit in place. 3 tons.
3 tons. That stocks pretty much all commercial cargo, doesn't it?
Essentially, yes. Your big trucks, anything heavy.
And this isn't just any bridge. It's part of the Maharlika Highway, right? That's like a main artery for the whole country connecting islands.
Exactly. It's the key link between Leyte and Samar. Think about it. Over 14,000 vehicles use it every single day.
14,000.
Okay. And about 1,400 of those, almost 1,400, are heavy vehicles. Trucks carrying goods, supplies. That whole flow is just stopped now or severely restricted.
And fixing it isn't quick. It's not just patching a pothole.
No, definitely not. The estimates right now point to about 2 years for the full rehabilitation.
2 years.
Yeah, and the cost is pegged at around 900 million pesos. So that gives you a sense of the scale, the seriousness of the damage they need to repair.
Okay, so big structural problems, heavy vehicles banned. What does that mean on the ground economically right now? The reports sound pretty grim.
Well, the first thing is the immediate hit to cargo routes. You've got Lea Provincial Board member Wilson Uy voicing major concerns. He's estimating daily losses, get this, around 20 million pesos.
20 million a day, just in Leyte.
Just in Leyte, yeah. He's saying businesses are suddenly facing way higher transport costs because they have to find other ways, potential closures even.
That's huge. And the main alternative is, what, going by sea?
Exactly. But that's not a simple switch. Cargo now has to take these longer routes by boat.
Which means more time, more money.
More expensive journeys, adding significant costs, delaying things. It hits supply chains and potentially, the prices you pay for goods.
And we're hearing directly from people caught in this, like that truck driver, Abet Solahigan. His story, stuck at a port, really brings home the human side.
Absolutely. He was stranded for over a week at a Mandahanan port in Basi, Samar. It just shows you the immediate blow to people's livelihoods.
Over a week.
Yeah. And his comparison, he compared it to the aftermath of Typhoon Yolanda. That's powerful. It tells you how badly this is hitting his ability to earn, support his family, especially, he mentioned, with school starting soon, needing money for supplies.
Right, the school supplies. It's those direct family impacts, and this worry about prices going up keeps surfacing.
It does. Wilson Uy specifically warned about that. These extra transport costs, the fuel costs, they'll likely get passed on to consumers. So basic goods could become more expensive for everyone in the region.
It's a domino effect. Okay, so trade, transport, daily costs. What about other sectors? Like tourism, the sources mentioned that too.
Yeah, the Department of Tourism for Eastern Visayas, DOT8, they put out a position paper. They're worried.
Worried about fewer visitors?
Pretty much. They expect tourist arrivals to drop because Access is now so limited across the bridge. It's a major gateway, and now it's, well, a bottleneck.
So it hits the movement of goods and people. Tourism is a big deal there, too.
It's huge. So yeah, it's interconnected, affects multiple economic drivers.
Okay, this is clearly a crisis. What's being done? What are the initial responses, the solutions being floated?
Well, right after the weight limit started on May 16th, the Regional Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, the RDRRMC, declared a blue alert.
Blue alert, meaning?
It basically puts all the relevant government agencies on standby, ready to respond. Kind of like a heightened state of readiness.
And it looks like they're trying to coordinate things. The Office of Civil Defense, the OCD, seems involved.
Yes, OCD is playing a key coordinating role. They pulled together what they call an Interagency Coordinating Cell, the IACC, on May 23rd.
Okay.
This brought in people from DLG, DPWH, the Coast Guard, the Ports Authority, PPA, even the Samar provincial government, trying to get everyone on the same page to tackle these challenges.
Makes sense. Lots of different pieces to manage. And OCD-8 flagged something important to the ports.
Yeah, that's a really crucial point. They noted that while the bridge traffic itself might be a bit better because of the restrictions, the problem hasn't disappeared. It's just shifted.
Shifted to the ports.
Exactly. All that cargo needs to go somewhere. And the ports, well, they weren't really built for this sudden massive increase in seabound cargo. Even if there are ships available, the port facilities themselves are struggling to cope.
So DPWH and the PPA are scrambling. Looking at temporary sea routes, maybe upgrading ports.
That's the plan, yeah. They've proposed some interim sea routes using other ports, places like Carigara, Caplogan, Maguino O, Tolosa, Osmania, trying to spread the load.
But the long-term fix is still the bridge itself, right?
Oh, absolutely. The big project involves retrofitting the girders, replacing the concrete slabs, basically reinforcing the whole structure. But that's the 2-year job we mentioned.
Right. And Samar Governor Sherry Ann Tan brought up another angle, the bridge's foundations, and the state of the current ports, like Amanda Cahan.
Yes, she stressed the need to check the bridge footings properly, suggesting there might be issues even deeper down. And she was quite blunt about ports like Amanda Cahan just being too small for this.
Undersize.
Totally. She wants to use the state of emergency declaration to try and fast-track funding to get those ports developed, expanded.
That makes sense. What about essentials, like fuel? That needs to keep moving.
Good point. The Department of Energy, the DOE, is involved there. They're trying to manage fuel supplies for Samar, giving priority to fuel tankers on the RoRo services, the roll-on, roll-off ferries.
Ah, RoRo, okay.
And they're coordinating with the Philippine Institute of Petroleum, PIP, to track which vessels are available for charter. There's also work happening to get Babaton Port inlet ready, possibly to handle more logistics down the line.
So trying to keep the fuel flowing, it sounds like a massive logistical juggling act. And OCD wants to streamline this coordination further.
Yeah, they're planning to set up a more formal regional interagency coordinating cell, still led by OCD-8. The idea is a more unified response, better meeting the needs of people in Samar through all this disruption.
We also heard about calls from local officials, business groups. They want price controls on these temporary ferry services.
That's right. There's a real concern that RoRo operators, or LCT landing craft tank operators, might hike up prices unfairly because, well, people don't have many other options right now.
Yeah, trying to prevent price gouging in a crisis.
Exactly. They want regulated fares for these temporary routes.
And this issue with the ports themselves, the infrastructure being old or inadequate, that keeps coming up.
It's a major bottleneck. The report specifically mentioned Basie again, Amanda Yadian Port, where dozens of trucks were just stuck.
Why stuck?
Because the port infrastructure is reportedly dilapidated, making it really slow and difficult to actually load the trucks and cargo onto the waiting ships.
So even if a ship is there, getting the cargo on board is the problem.
That seems to be a big part of it, yeah.
But there's maybe a bit of hope with barges. At Amanda Cahan?
There is. Companies like Santa Clara Shipping have proposed starting barge operations. That's still waiting for the final green light from Marina, the Maritime Industry Authority.
Okay.
If approved, barges could potentially handle more of the heavy stuff. But crucially, no one knows what the rates will be yet. That hasn't been set.
Right. Still some uncertainty there. So let's try and pull this together. We have this iconic bridge, San Juanico, vital connection.
Now facing really serious structural problems.
Leading to this ban on heavy trucks, which has just thrown regional trade into chaos. Big economic impacts on businesses, daily life, potential price hikes, tourism hit.
And what really stands out is that immediate chain reaction. Bridge limits cause port jams, which highlights the poor state of port infrastructure, which then requires urgent government coordination. New sea routes calls for price controls.
It really shows how one failure in a key piece of infrastructure can just cascade outwards.
Absolutely. It exposes vulnerabilities and interdependencies you might not think about day to day.
And it's clear there's a lot happening in response coordination cells, looking at temporary routes, planning the long, expensive repairs. But it is complex, and that 2-year repair timeline, that's a long time for the region to cope.
It really is. And maybe this leaves you, our listener, with something to think about. Given how crucial infrastructure like the Juanico Bridge obviously is, what does this tell us more broadly about, say, the importance of keeping up with maintenance before things get this bad?
Proactive versus reactive.
Exactly. And what are the wider consequences when a vital link like this fails? It makes you consider that balance, doesn't it, between dealing with the immediate safety needs, shutting things down, and the long-term economic health and stability of entire communities.
News Talk on Samar News, your go-to podcast for the latest headlines and in-depth discussions. Join us as we unravel the stories that matter most, bringing you insightful commentary and expert analysis. Tune in for thought-provoking conversations that spark dialogue and inspire action. Stay connected with the news that shapes our world, only on News Talk on Samar News.